She was like gonna open kimono. She was gonna tell everything that happened. She had sex with Keith Raniere every single day.
G'day, I'm Lachlan Cartwright. Welcome back to the Breaker Pod. This week, coming to you from Seahorse at Union Square, the latest eatery from downtown restaurant kingpin John McDonald, who also owns the iconic Lure and many others. If you would like your venue featured on the Breaker Pod, get in touch. Breaker at breakermedia.com. My guest today needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her one regardless. Vanessa Grigoriadis is one of the most distinctive magazine writers of her generation, from New York Magazine to Rolling Stone and Vanity Fair. She's built a career on the kind of intimate, psychologically sharp profiles that get inside the heads of celebrities, cultural disruptors, and the institutions shaping American life. She is the co-founder of Campside Media, where she has created and co-hosted some of the most popular serialized nonfiction podcasts, including Chameleon, Hollywood Con Queen, So Your Parents Are Old, and the latest, Allison After NXIVM, where Allison Mack finally tells her story about life in one of the most prolific cults of recent times. Vanessa, welcome to the Breaker Pod.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for
hi
coming
to John
on.
McDonald, who is an incisive man who has been very interesting in many of the conversations I had with him back in the day.
He
Thanks,
really
John.
is. Cheers, John. Vanessa, you've had an incredible career as a magazine writer. You still write for different magazines, including Vanity Fair, where I'm a contributing editor, full disclosure. But then you several years ago, decided to go off in this direction of podcasts. Why?
Yes. Well, it seemed like the magazine business was a bit of a Titanic, and people were being paid to write what are essentially magazine features, and if you spoke them, they were extremely valuable. Like, I hooked up with a couple of partners, and we started going to all these distributors, from Sony to Apple. We said, hey, these are our stories. This is our bag of tricks. Here's all the things that we would write about, in magazines. But here, we can make podcasts about them. And it was like, standing ovation. And
what year is this, just to put it in context?
This was 2019.
Okay,
Right. So the bubble of the podcast bubble, certainly the limited series bubble, was really on its way up.
Right.
And at that time, it was very difficult to sell a magazine feature.
Right.
But hey, just speak the feature and
People are writing
bam.
checks.
Yeah, writing the checks. We're getting good budgets.
Tell us about this latest pod about NXIVM.
Allison Mack, we, at my company, Campside Media, we just put out a podcast with the CBC about Allison Mack's life after NXIVM. So I actually...
NXIVM was the cults that...
The branding cult,
right.
the one where, they're up in Albany and they have the Bronfman sisters, and
Right.
suddenly all these famous actresses are getting brands on their body of the leaders'
Sounds
initials,
very painful.
and it was not great. They had the cult chiropractor was the one who did it, so they tried to be medical about it, but yeah.
I've got a bad back. Here's some branding.
Exactly. So Allison Mack was, the star of Smallville, and she was also seen as one of the leaders. She went to prison for 3 years. Got out of prison. I got a tip that she wanted to talk, and Christmas Day last year.
Wow, really?
Christmas Day, I flew from New York in the evening to Long Beach, California.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. My host Natalie Robometa and I sat down in a hotel with her for 2 days, got all the recordings, and yeah, we made this podcast.
You did it in 2 days.
We did the bulk of the
interviews.
interviews, so it was 12, 14 hours of interviews, because then you can write after you have that major
Right.
interview. It's just like a profile,
Sure,
right?
right.
So...
I think there was a stat out earlier this week that the Joe Rogan show is now the number one pod. It was number 3. As someone in the pod world, what do you think the appeal of a Rogan is?
He got there first.
Right.
I mean, that's the number one
Yeah,
appeal.
sure.
It's there's no way that in this day and age, Joe Rogan could pop up and be I'm a weird UFC guy who's really into hyperbaric chambers and drugs, and can you listen to what I have to say? But the people who were there first, who were really
Starter
had
advantage.
something, yes,
Right.
absolutely. That first mover, whether it's Caller Daddy, and those people are good. Rogan, I think, is a little bit of a troll, but he can, make something last for 3 hours, and that's a skill for sure. But there's no question that whole group, those are the ones who have the keys to the kingdom. Crime Junkie, huge story right now, right? With the Fox and Tubi and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, she's been doing this forever, and she is one of the best people at retelling these crime stories with that, like, little sort of, like, sinister pout and, like, just a little bit of sexiness, because, like, apparently everybody loves their stories of gore told by middle-aged white women who are also sexy. I don't know where that is coming from.
Obviously, the likes of Rogan and a couple of others that you mentioned are making bank.
Bank.
How hard is it to make money in podcasting these days?
Extremely hard. Yes, it's extremely hard. I mean, it's a lottery system. So the people who are on top are just like raking it in. You know, as you know, since we're doing this podcast, this is a production, sort of, but it's not like a super high cost thing. This is the lowest cost TV that you can make. Right? And that's why Netflix and all these people want into it, because it's just like the new reality show. What costs less? The two people on the microphone.
With a couple of iPhones, in a restaurant in Union Square.
Like, I mean, I can make a really interesting interview show for $5,000 an episode. So, but I got to be able to make $5,000 back in ads at least. And that's like, I don't know, 100,000 listens? Like, that's actually really, in like dynamically inserted ads, like, you gotta have a lot of listeners. The advertising for podcasts is profoundly broken. It's very hard to make money. So you've gotta have these enormous numbers, or do what a lot of people are doing. I don't know where the like breaker hat is, or the breaker, champagne glass.
The breaker hat gets stored in a very secure location.
You gotta get on that
for certain stakeouts.
That's but you gotta have a hat. You gotta have a Substack. You've gotta have a salon, events, blah blah blah.
It's part of a wider media ecosystem.
Yeah, and then you can make it work.
I think you were telling me that you shopped this NXIVM Allison Mack pod
Indeed.
around
I did.
to a few different places, and then you landed somewhere somewhat unusual.
I
Canadians.
took out a podcast with full exclusivity from Allison Mack with a sizzle reel of her speaking that you could tell she was crying. She was like gonna open kimono. She was gonna tell everything that happened. She had sex with Keith Raniere every single day.
Wow.
She was gonna really get into the
And she's now married
nitty-gritty.
to the bloke from
She's married to a guy
American History X.
Yeah, American History X was
Not
sort
Ed
of
Norton,
inspired
the
by
person that Ed Norton plays in that.
Right, exactly.
film.
And he's now completely reformed. This really fascinating story from this extremely famous woman, and it was difficult to sell that in the commercial market. And I think you have to say something is wrong with specifically limited series storytelling, like Serial, like S-Town, like the stuff that my company makes. Like, wow, that is a market that is nosediving, right now, because people want the two people.
I was going to say, is that because it's moved to the Rogan thing? It's moved to
Yeah, because human conversation's great, and who knows what's going to happen and what happens between two people. And you and I know each other, but two people who've never really met before trying to talk for the first time, particularly if they're in the same room, which is why you see, like, Call Your Daddy, all these places. You got to come in and do that interview. We're not doing it on Zoom.
We made you come into Union Square.
I came all the way from Red Hook, Brooklyn. I mean, my God, they let me out of there. But
we were going to spring for a car, but
I know, it's not 1995 anymore. I don't get a black town car. My God, I used to get a limousine. Take me to the CFDA awards. It's been a while.
Where did you end up selling that then?
So the CBC, the Canadian Broadcast Corporation, is making this podcast about this famous woman in a sex cult. And so, the economics are completely lopsided.
Right.
ABC, CBS, NBC, they're making a lot of these true crime podcasts now because
Dateline.
They've
got all this archives. Yeah.
Right, they've got this incredible archive.
Yeah.
Andrew Goldman from the magazine
Right.
world right now putting out his Martha Moxley podcast, which is, an RFK Jr. Sort of idea that, that's, Michael was not the guy who actually did it, and he's able to use the NBC archive that they have. Well, then that makes sense. But when you're talking about journalism, from day one, we're going to get tape for these people. Everybody's like, just make it a documentary. Can't you make it a documentary?
Right.
And you're like, but it's different. I show up with a camera. That's like a whole different thing,
Experience, yeah.
Like, so... It's a bummer because I think that the storytelling, the auditory storytelling is profound, and it really, like, you can brainwash people with this thing. Like, it really works, right? Like, it takes you to a totally different place and lets you do your dishes and just, like, zone out. But, you know, until they can make the economics worth, I think we'll see less and less and less of those of quality being released each year.
Another startling stat in the pod world that came out this week was that there are already at least 175,000 AI-generated podcasts.
Yes.
Podcast episodes on Spotify and Apple. And that's, I think it's Inception Point AI. It's a startup with 8 employees. They're cranking out 3,000 episodes a week. Is AI the future of podcasting?
I mean, this is a woman who used to be at Wondery, and she's doing this, and, like, people are definitely noticing. I think that that's not the future. Just like, hey, let's put up a thing, and it just says Andrew Huberman, and it's a voice, and he's telling, like, the Wikipedia version of what Andrew Huberman's like. That's what they're doing is just, like, flood the zones.
Right.
30 people
Lowest
listen to it. It costs us nothing anyway,
right,
so who cares?
Right.
But I definitely think that we can hear that you know, everything is getting better and better and better, and the dynamism of the voices is extraordinary and only gonna proceed apace. So certainly, you know, somebody was saying, I listen to Grok in my car now when I'm driving, you know, like getting this AI generated voice from a chat GPT or a Grok that's like, hey, I'm here with you. What do you want to hear about today? Oh man, I know, because your brother's doing X and that guy's an addict and I want to tell you about all the places he can go to get cleaned up. Like that, they know everything. Like, don't forget, you're feeding these people everything about you by searching for certain things, and then they're going to spit out. And yes, it's going to be some horrifying 2020s loop of, you know, hell. Like
something
how we're just
to.
Yes, everywhere, I mean, everywhere you look, you're like, like it's crashing in on me. I mean, New York Magazine's cover is perfect. The stupidity.
I wake up every day and I think, you know, I said to myself, we live in the weirdest and dumbest times. I mean, it's just this kind of loop that we're on.
Why is this happening? Where it's like everybody has to be a brand and an infomercial. And I mean, I guess we should have seen that it was going to go this way, but short form video, I mean, I am sure you've had the same experience. I've interviewed a lot of people who have massive followers on TikTok, and you try to talk to them and it's like, they're so media trained, they can't connect with you. They're not authentic, you know? And those are the people who are sort of leading the culture. And now there's this idea, well, let's just focus on the YouTube creators, because that's the new podcast, right? It's those guys, and Netflix wants them, and blah, blah, blah. And sure, if you're on YouTube and you can do an hour on YouTube, then you know what you're doing. But, you know, that's going to quickly become like another really crowded space. It's just like, just bleh.
You've profiled everyone from Karl Lagerfeld to Arianna Huffington. How do you land on a profile subject? Like, what are you looking for, you know, when you go about looking for picture piece to, you know, a VF or a New York Magazine or... I
mean, the truth is that I got assigned most of those stories. And it was like a really cushy thing where they'd be like, hey, you want to write about Karl Lagerfeld? Like, we're setting it up, blah, 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 blah. The fashion editor is in touch with him. I'm going to send this girl. Her name's Vanessa. Well, I'm not so sure if I want to talk to her. Send her down here, right? Like, and it, you know, with Karl, he was like, you can come and you can sit in the corner, and I'm not going to talk to you till I decide you are worthy of being spoken to, because we were asking for an extraordinary amount of time, like multiple meetings, and she's going to go to Paris, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, how sweet is this? You mean I get to sit in the corner just observe everything and eavesdrop for like 5 hours?
What are you, Michael Wolff at the White House?
It's like, this is that's like, oh my God, what a gift. Whenever that happens, I love it. But like, a lot of those profiles were, I mean, I pitched Paris Hilton, like, you know, in 2000, right before, or 90, whenever that was, right before her sex tape. And then it was like, oh my God, she's got the sex tape. It's incredible. We have the story. So I do fancy myself as sort of Tina Brown figure where I'm like, this one is hot. That one's not hot.
I made her. I destroyed him.
I don't know about, not to that point, but at least like I have a buzzometer. But the truth is, it was a cushy deal where the editors were like they were in control, and I was like sort of the bad cop, like, oh, okay, I'm annoying, but you know me, I have no power. It's really, you know, that editor made the headline and like blah blah blah, like so.
How has that celebrity culture changed in the area of TikTok and everyone's a brand, as you were saying before?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't written a lot of celebrity profiles, but the last time I got, like recently, I mean, I've obviously written a lot, but the last time I got asked to write one, somebody called me from a women's magazine, and she said, okay, can you do this? And it's going to be, you know, a few thousand words, and it's Kim Kardashian, and it's 20 minutes on the phone, and she's going to be wearing this particular pair of sunglasses on the cover, so you need to ask her a lot about sunglasses.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, I don't need the money that bad. Like, what are you talking about? So I think, you know, it's gone off in this totally crazy direction of like, oh, and they're a guest editor for the, you know, for the issue and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, everybody's just chasing the people who have the most clout and fame. And that's not to say that an interesting profile can't be written once in a while, but you got to really be dancing through the raindrops at this point. You know, it's much more interesting to hear actually a podcast, like a real podcast, you know, interview with
Do you think that that's the death of the celebrity profile? Do you think that it's basically now they're just promotional exercises for the studios, you know, that those great
I think
celeb
it depends
profiles
on the person. Like, you can get if you get somebody who wants to play ball and thinks the profile is a good opportunity. If you get an old school, like a Clooney or a Brad Pitt, or a person who's like old school and is sort of like, yeah, I want to actually see what happens when I say some real things here, and you can come to my house. I don't know those two guys. I haven't written about them, but I'm assuming they would maybe do something like that at this point. Then I think you can write something interesting. But if it's going to be like a controlled Zoom with a publicist on the line, what exactly is going to happen? You know?
I remember going to a junket and they said, you've got Daniel Radcliffe for 10 minutes.
Right.
And I just thought, what am I going to be able to draw out of this? And like, you got to talk about Harry Potter, you got to talk about Harry Potter. And it was just like, I got a good line out of him.
Yeah, and that's basically it.
And that's basically it.
Yeah, it's like a red rope. I mean, it's incredible to think when I started in this in the 90s, like, I didn't stand on a red rope. Like, I was in the room. And part of that is I started with Patrick McMullen, the famous celebrity photographer.
Right,
like,
Snapper,
one of my
Patrick.
first jobs was just writing the copy that would go with his photographs. So, you know, I had to be in there to ask like whatever dumb question, like, do you like watermelon, Geraldine Ferraro? Or like whatever dumb question I was asking to write this like little like slightly snarky, stupid copy. But, you know, we were really there. And now, as Peggy Siegel, featured in the recent Epstein dump, would say, we really are like journalists. You know, journalists are poor people looking in the windows. Is something she used to like to say. We really are now. Like, we're really behind the red rope in a way that's like, I think, profoundly uncomfortable for people who cover celebrity entertainment, blah, 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 blah.
We are in this newsletter-driven world, Breaker included, and magazines do seem like, you know, an endangered species. Mm-hmm. Do you think that print will ever die, or do you think print lives on, or, you know, where do you see the future?
I read my magazines. I mean, I read New York. I read Vanity Fair. I mean, I like the Times Magazine. Like, I
love print. Like full
print is
disclosure.
amazing.
I'm that bloke walking around the village on a weekend with the FT and the Times and the Post and Private Eye, and people look at me like, "Are you weirdo? Like, what are you doing with all these print magazines?"
But I mean, I don't personally. I really am able to synthesize information much better if I have it in a hard copy. I find that, like, when I read the newspaper, like when I read the New York Times in my hands, I know what the news is. And when I'm like just grazing, it doesn't happen. Will that continue? I don't really know. I mean, at Rolling Stone, like, there was a moment where, you know, whenever you go to interview somebody, they know what Rolling Stone is, and then you realize, like, do they want the magazine, or do they just want the blow up of their cover? Like when you're interviewing like a Cardi B or something, like she's just sort of after like the blow up of the cover that she can put it on her wall. And so I think we're maybe going even further that direction, where it's like an iconic thing that will continue, but maybe less and less journalism will be in each of them. It's a bummer. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying anything a million people haven't said, but it's like with the Substack, it's like, oh my God, it would be so great if I could just pay like $20 a month for all of these different writers, like in a magazine.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what a magazine was. It was great writers next to each other, and you would pay $10 for the magazine, not 20 bloody Substacks or 20 of these independent outlets.
Yeah.
You sent me a message last night that cracked me up. Obviously the Epstein story is the story just won't die. You and I have talked about it over the years. I was asking Vicky Ward about this recently because I was a young reporter at the Post and we were covering Epstein back in 2011. No one gave a flying fuck back then. Then I was at the New York Daily News. I was out at all the events that you and I go to or went to, and those were the Peggy Siegel events, and there was a random bloke at the back of the room. No one knew who he was. That was Jeffrey Epstein. Then fast forward a few years, and I'm at the Daily Beast, and the story just exploded because of Me Too. And that's when he's arrested at Charles de Gaulle, and that's when he's charged, and that's when he tops himself. Yeah. And now, again, it's got another iteration.
Oh my God, this is the story that won't
life.
die. I mean, I was saying to somebody today, I have known that Jeffrey Epstein had an egg-shaped penis for like almost 20 years now. Like, this is
now
the
that's
new
news you can use. Yeah.
It really is. I've dined out on that thing for 20 years. Like, but because Florida has these crazy
That was the
public
topic
records.
drudge yesterday, by the way, about the
What is
penis.
that?
The drudge, a drudge, someone drudges the penis. I remember when it came around again, everyone was losing their mind. Oh, there's this, all these flight logs. And I was like, that was in Gawker, and they're like, there was this fuck plane. I was like, that's been out there. Oh my God, this is woman plane. I'm like, it's all been out there. It's just
all been
keeps
out
coming
there.
around.
And it's just like Florida has these crazy records laws, right? So
Correct.
when it
It's the
all
best
broke
state
back
for
in
public
Palm
records.
Beach, we all learned about the egg-shaped penis. We had all the gory details with all the horrific things he did to all of the girls. And then you get like Julie Brown comes in and she names the girls. Okay, but it was like sort of the information
that was
from
out
then.
there. Right.
And now, it's like it's on the top of Drudge. Like, what happened? Micro penis, and you're just like, oh my God! Like, I don't want to hear about this disgusting, salacious, like repulsive, wretched story. But it is the biggest story of 2025. Like, we cannot, and every year prior.
Maybe
like
every
we
year
cannot.
future as long
we
as
can, you
we're alive.
you gotta just say, like, if this is the thing that can topple this administration, then like, get it. Like, but so last night, as I texted you, there I was
going to get up a bowl
dutifully.
Of wine, and I get a message from you, but I was like, what is this?
Here I am, dutifully looking through the Epstein database.
Just to clarify, not for me, please.
Not for you. I was not looking for you. I was just looking for you. I was like, who are the sketchy people I know? Yeah. Let me put Lachlan's name in there. No, but then suddenly, each one is like, you can search like National Enquirer, different names, and it comes up. I see, okay, this is going to be something, Darren Indike, the lawyers there, and it's from the National Enquirer. So I was like, this
where
will be
I was
good.
the executive editor, as I wrote about in the New York Times Magazine last year.
But it seems like this might be your assistant, or maybe it's a.
I wish I had an assistant, but
Tanya Haddad Coleman is somehow carrying your water and is like, hey, we are about to publish this thing about Bill Clinton. Let Lachlan know if you have a comment. And I was like, wow, he has an assistant?
Yeah, I didn't have an assistant.
Let people know?
I didn't have there was like a newsroom coordinator, and she would put out these comment requests. And this one's about the Clintons.
Okay, preparing to publish a story that Bill Clinton used a private, quote, orgy plane to travel to Brunei for an extraordinary dinner with a royal accused of duping American women into white slavery. Bill Clinton was accompanied by the 727's owner, billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure you can imagine what else is in here. And what was the comment, Lachlan? Did you run the story?
They didn't respond. That's what I remember.
Shocking.
I would get calls from people and saying, I need some advice on the side. Can you just, after I left, can you just advise me? I've got this email from the Enquirer, and what should I do? And I'm like, ignore it. Just ignore it. Just let it go.
Silence is the best medicine here.
It's not going to
but we haven't learned anything about Clinton. I mean, this is going to be an interesting, I guess, holiday season as we find out. Oh, what else is in these emails?
They're going to drop these holidays.
The dog that didn't bark can't be the only person that we're waiting to hear about. But my God, I mean, where are the pictures? Where's the video? Like, they have 60,000 gigabytes of this thing.
Release it all. Release it all.
But the big, I don't
put the
wanna
Kim
see
Kardashian
boobs, like, but
sunglasses
just,
on.
Let's cut to the chase, guys. Where is this stuff? I don't know. It's. What do you think's going to come out?
I think a lot of the actual guts of this story has come out. I think maybe other side pieces are going to come out. But
you think this is it?
You know what?
It?
I don't know if this is it, but I feel like we know a lot already, and I just feel like a lot of the stuff that I think people are conspiring about, that there was all these videos and images and stuff, it would have come out by now. I want to ask.
That's hard stuff to leak, though. That's hard. That's I don't know.
We'll see.
I still haven't heard about the underage sex ring, though,
right.
to an extraordinary degree that it was supposed to have
the Illuminati type thing.
I still think there's a lot of gaps there that could be filled in or not filled in.
We'll get you back with Vicky Ward to debrief. Yeah. I want to ask you best interview, worst interview, and the one that got away.
Oh my God. Okay, Adam Lambert was my best interview. He came out to Rolling Stone.
That's
me.
a pretty
It
good
was obviously not about me.
revelation.
Yeah,
to
that
get
was a good revelation. He's an awesome guy.
I would come out to you, but I came out when I was 26. Sorry, we're about 15 years late for that.
I mean, worst interview has to be Madonna, because that was just hell. That was the worst.
Wow.
Because I really, I loved her as a kid. I'm a kid of 70s and 80s, and I dressed like her when I was 10, and I had the bow and the fingerless gloves, and she was the first concert that I ever went to, and I was so excited that I was finally going to get to write this profile about her, and I flew to London, and they were like, you get to go to the house, and I was like, yes, I'm in the house, this is awesome, and I go to the house, and then it's like, no, I'm in the weird sitting room of the house where she meets her accountant, this isn't the house,
right.
You know what I mean, fuck, and then you're sort of talking to, she's in half darkness because she doesn't want anybody to really see her, and she was really mean to me.
Aww.
And so mean.
Madonna, how can you be mean to Vanessa?
I was like, I love your songs, I love all your old songs, and she was like, oh, I can't listen to those, and I was like, oh, that's sort of too bad. I feel, bad that, you would feel that way. And she was like, oh, I feel bad for you that you feel that. And I was just like, what is happening? And then I flew to Los Angeles. I flew to Las Vegas and to see her perform. And she wouldn't talk to me. She didn't invite me to go talk to her.
You?
And I was like, yeah, she just ignored. She was just like, hi. And I was like, what? So that was bad. And then she was mad. And the one that got away, God, I feel like I should have interviewed Donatella Versace. Adam Moss was always on me, when are you gonna get Donatella? When are you gonna get Donatella? I was like, who's setting it up for me? And he was like, why don't you set it up? And that would have been awesome. And maybe it's a little too late for that now,
What's the line that got cut either by you or an editor where you're just like, oh, that was a golden bit here.
Oh, my God. I don't know. I'm not like that. I'm not one of those people. Once I write it, I never read it again. It's gone. I can't. It's too painful for me because I'm such a perfectionist that if I go back in and try to be why didn't this happen? But I love editors. I think good editors are, this is a collaborative medium. They're few and far between, but I love them. People who, let you say what you want to say, but just, make it a tiny bit better. That's the best.
Is there anyone you regret giving a platform to, or you think actually that interview was a little bit too favorable or a little bit too...
I think more that, I wrote this Britney Spears piece that was a write-around that ends up being my most memorable piece, which is sort of disturbing because it's this massive write-around about Britney Spears, and it's really aggressive. And at that time, Rolling Stone was trying to be up yours. And it's she's sort of like Bill, she's sort of like George W. Bush,
How so?
But we won't be paying her for her mistakes the rest of our lives. And I'm just why did I say all these horrible things?
Hey.
I called her an inbred swamp thing. I don't know
God.
what came over me. I got so invested in the chase because I was hanging out with the paparazzi. I was almost dying on these car chases on Mulholland Drive.
She had a conservatorship? Or
this was right before she was airlifted out. And
maybe she was because of that piece. you tipped it over the
It didn't help.
line.
It didn't help. It wasn't So I mean, if I think about things, if there's things on my conscience, that's a little bit like I'm like, wow, yeah, that was a product of that time, you know. I don't know. I feel pretty good about my career. I don't feel that way. I feel like there were some people who came to me after Me Too and were like, hey, I will tell you everything that happened, men. And I was like, that is a hot story. That is a hot story. Like, and it's very hard for me because I'm like, it's a hot story. I want the story. I want the story, you know,
right.
like, and then I was just like, I can't do it. Like, I just can't, you know, I can't, it's hard when you profile somebody. You know, you may knife them a little bit, but yeah, you're still, you know, I don't go in for the whole platforming things, but you're trying to see the world from their perspective, and I couldn't do that, yeah.
What's the biggest lie someone's told you in a profile where you're like,
oh my God,
that is an absolutely...
No, well, I think it's more like things like Bodie Miller, remember the skier? He was like this huge skier, and he told me, like, well, Lance Armstrong's definitely juicing and like blah, blah, blah. And I put it in the story. And this was way before Lance Armstrong confessed to it.
Sure.
And then he was like, no, I never said anything like that at this press conference. And I was like, dude, I have like the tape recording. Like there was 2 recorders. I always go out with 2 recorders.
Right.
He saw 2 recorders. He doesn't think I'm going to say anything. Like, it's more things like that where you're just like, oh, like what? Like that's... my good name is all I have, like really, you know, I have to protect that.
Whose public persona is the most divorced from reality that you've encountered in this celebrity?
Well, okay, I mean, I have to say Kim Kardashian, now I think everybody loves her and really thinks she's nice. Like, I had an amazing experience with her. It was quite a while ago because she was married to Kanye and we were going to put her on the cover of Rolling Stone. And I was a little like, I can't believe I'm actually doing this, but like I'm gonna do this because it's interesting because she's getting more and more acceptance and, you know, let's see what she's like. And Kanye did not want her to do the cover and was like, you should not be doing this, which
because
is crazy.
Because Kanye is always reliable for great advice, right?
Exactly. And
I went up to him at a fashion thing and tried to pop him a question. He's in the front row of some jeans company they're promoting. He just leaps up and says, you can't ask me questions. You can't. So why are you here? You're plugging these crap jeans.
Right.
What are you doing?
How is this? I don't even understand what that thing is that he's doing and the look-alike. I mean, it's just, yes, it's all. Thankfully, he's moved off screen, mostly because he's an anti-Semitic psycho.
Yeah.
But, you know, she apologized for him. She sat down. She was really giving and lovely. And I understand that that's part of like what she's had to do because she's like, I will not be the girl who's just known for a sex tape. Like I will make you, my father, my deceased father proud, which is obviously why she keeps trying to like pass the bar. But like, you know, it's a nice thing where you sit down with somebody and you go, oh my God, you're so different than I thought. And you're so much better. And you know what? I'm sort of rooting for you now. Like, and when it's a person who has an enormous amount of sway, like, that's a cool thing.
Now, you wish you had have done that profile for the Women's Mag with the...
I should have done it.
With
I know.
the sunglasses.
I should have done that. But I mean, the thing that I do, I will say, like, I got a lot of heat for asking Justin Bieber when he was, I believe, 17. I think he was 17. If he, you know, how he felt about abortion. Because I was just like, you know what? He controls all these women, like all these girls in the world. Let's see what he has to say.
Is there a flack in the room
like,
when you asked this?
No, this was an incredible story because I had like been with the flag, multiple cities with the flag, and they made me wait and fly to a new city. And I was like, let's just finish this thing right now. Right. And then, okay, finally, we're in the 4 seasons. Okay, Justin's going to do it. We're going to do the sit down finally, come upstairs. And then they left. And I was like, everybody, this is when you want to be here.
This is
like
when you
not in
want
the Chuck E. Cheese. It's like, what are you talking about? Now we're just going to sit here and answer whatever questions I have and you left? But, yeah, he was like, well, no, I don't afford that because that's like killing a baby. And then I was like, well, what about in cases of incest? And he was like, I don't know, I have to think about that. And that was, you know, I thought that was a good answer. But, I mean, I always would like to ask like the question that's going to sort of put some top spin, right, on the story. Just a little top spin. It's always nice.
Little top spin is always good. Vanessa, thank you for coming on the Breaker
you.
Pod. You can watch this pod on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe. You can listen on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your pods. And you can subscribe to Breaker at breakermedia.com. That's breakermedia.com. And we'll be back next week. Cheers.